5,100, Damon Burton.
I'm saying I'm not bluffing. I just
Joey
call.
says he'll buy a piece.
10-7 of hearts. You know what Daniel
Let's go.
Negreanu, that's his favorite hand.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He says, pencil me in. Next
You know Daniel
weekend.
Negreanu? You know what his favorite
I'm aware of
hand
who
is?
Daniel Negreanu is, yes. I'm familiar.
But you know what his favorite hand is? 10-7.
Next Friday and Saturday is 200,
You know about
400,
that or
Jamin,
no?
so that might be a little bit too
You
large.
had no idea?
Why is his favorite
His
hand?
favorite hand is 10-7.
It's just his thing for years.
Do you know about this?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank God someone can confirm it. So if I fold 10-7, I'm disrespecting Daniel.
We are playing 200, 400, 800 at the lodge. Dylan DeStefano on the button raises it up with the king, queen. He is a good, strong, world-class player. Absolute crusher in cash games. Brad Owen, he's a world-class video blogger. He opts to call in the small blind with ace, jack, offsuit. Everybody else gets out of the way. Let's go to the flop.
Oh, we wouldn't want to. There you go. And I don't want to
Queen
disrespect
10, 3,
him,
couple
so I
diamonds,
couldn't
pair of
play
queens
with
for
it.
Dylan.
Makes sense.
Broadway
Makes
draw
sense.
for Brad.
So by this logic, when you get fold 10 deuce, you insult Doyle.
Yes,
So you
I
have to
do
play 10
suspect
deuce.
Doyle, exactly.
And Jack 4, you would offend I
Yeah,
guess, everybody?
well, Robbie, I don't really give a about Robbie, to be honest. But I mean, she's a cool person. But she's not at the level of Doyle or Negreanu, you know what I'm saying?
CQ, that's 48.
I agree with you. Can you think of someone that became more instantly poker famous than Robbie, though? Just like
Yeah,
instantly.
she fucking became
She became.
The flop comes queen 10, 3, 2 diamonds. Dylan has a lock on this hand. He has top pair, backdoor flush draw. Brad is drawn to a gut shot or an overcard. Brad checks. Dylan goes for a nice 4,800 bet. This is a board where you definitely want to use a big bet size because if you consider Brad's range, he should connect decently well with this. He's going to have a lot of decent middle and high cards, and a lot of those hands are going to be crushed by Dylan's top pair second kicker. Brad's going to have a lot of hands like Queen Jack or Ace 10 or Jack 10, things like that are in terrible shape, but they cannot fold. So Dylan does go for a nice chunky bet. Brad with a gut shot has a pretty rough spot. The players are playing very deep stacked. They're about $65,000 deep. I would have called with the ace jack here, but it's definitely not an amazing spot because even if you get an ace, you could be in bad shape, right? Like imagine Dylan's just sitting here with ace queen, ace 10, ace king, right? So you have to be very, very careful in this scenario, but I do know that Dylan gets in there, he fights hard, and because of that, I don't think Brad can fold immediately. He does make the call. Let's go to the turn.
Mike Postle.
Yeah, that's true. That's actually a good point.
Everyone is talking about him now.
What a turn card here for Brad. Broadway and top 2 for Dylan.
Yeah.
Action turn card, likely to get all the
He's
chips
sued a
in
bunch of people,
here.
so I'm scared of talking about him.
No, dude, okay.
Because like,
Brad-
what if I
I
say
was on
something
that-
negative about him?
I was on that lawsuit. It was
Go to
fake. It
court.
was fake news.
Oh, really?
Yeah?
Brad checks. Dylan deciding on a number here, carving out
You know what happened,
some
right?
5Ks,
Attorneys and they dropped him.
Oh, really?
and it's just under $11,000 here. So stand up, chat, if you want to see Brad win a big one. Hit that like button.
I don't want to I don't give a crap.
Brad in great shape here. Needs to fade, obviously, a king or a queen, and going nowhere with the nuts.
The turn is a king. An absolute disaster for Dylan. I thought he had a lock, but now he's drawing almost dead. Brad checks, as he definitely should do. You don't want to have a leading range in this scenario because this king should be very good for a lot of Dylan's hands that bluffed the flop. A lot of those are going to connect with top pair, which is going to feel pretty inclined to bet some portion of the time. So I love Brad's check. Dylan has top 2 pair. He should be loving the spot. He does go for a nice chunky bet. Let's see if Brad calls or raises.
Mike Postle, you are great. You're the best man in the world. For the record, guys, you're a genius. You're a poker genius, okay? That's it. He can't sue me now. He can't sue me now.
Are these things you want on the record?
Brad loving this.
Raises to 25K.
Whatever it is he did or didn't do, which I think he did.
So that's the surprise
He might have not done anything, you know what I mean?
of Dylan, but can't be going anywhere here with the king and the queen. 2
Top
pair.
two.
Small chance. This guy things that might possible is
Making the call.
Makes the call. So pot at 66,000. We know the jam is coming.
After a bit of deliberation, very, very stoic, Brad puts in a small raise. So Dylan bet about 11,000 and Brad makes it 25,000, leaving 41,000 behind. Ugh. I'm not sure I like this play because I think when you make this play, yeah, it grows the pot, but I think it looks super duper strong, right? I mean, look, Brad's not known to be some sort of an insane bluffer, and in Dylan's shoes, he has to consider which hands actually want to play in this manner. He's really going to do this with a flush draw, because if you do this with a flush draw and then get jammed, you have to fold, and that would be terrible. And if you do check raise the flush draw and get called, when you don't get there on the river, it's a pretty nasty spot. So I'm not sure he's doing this with a whole lot of flush draws. Does he want to do this with a random jack? Well, what random jacks does he even have in his range? Is he going to take a hand like Jack 10 and bluff it, or pocket jacks and bluff it? Maybe. I don't know. I mean, those are probably reasonable hands to bluff with, but I don't know if Brad is going to do that. Look, I think when most people check raise kind of small and they're giving their opponent position, in my mind, this is almost always a spot where most players underbluff. And if most players underbluff, well, King Queen actually went from being basically the nuts to now a bluff catcher. The question becomes would Brad check raise with any worse hands? Would he ever check raise with King 10 or King 3 suited if he has it? He probably doesn't have that, but maybe. What about Queen 10 that he decided to play slowly on the flop? I mean, if Brad has Queen 10, I don't know if he'd even want to check raise this for value because he could easily be crushed, right? So look, I don't think most people in Brad's shoes bluff nearly often enough. And maybe Brad does, but I think most people don't. That said, with the King Queen getting good odds and position, I don't really see how you can fold. But it's a miserable spot.
If the board doesn't pair here on the river, it's a deuce.
Check mark for
I heard that
Brad.
he sued a bunch of people. I don't want to go to court.
So he'll take his time and he'll rip all of it. 41.3. Stacks are about even. It's all in here. If you call the turn, it's hard to get away on the river here on the deuce of spades from Dylan.
This is a great pot. Massive. Huge.
Yeah, you've been paying close attention to it, Terrace.
No, not at all. We're talking about back boss.
Dylan is in a rough spot after Brad makes the all-in. This is definitely a spot, by the way, where Brad should go all in. It is his only option. So definitely an excellent play by ripping it in for Brad, resulting in what will, win or lose, be one of the biggest pots of his poker career. Let's see if Dylan can find a way to save $40,000 with top 2 pair.
Terrace finally getting word that this is a big pot.
I'll rewatch the stream and I'll look at all the pots. That's what I always do.
Can Dylan find a way to get away from this?
I don't think there's a way, Rick. I mean, if you're calling the turn and you see this river card,
Zero.
it's hard to get away.
I love it. I read it. I read the whole thing.
But if anybody can do it, it is Dylan, a very talented poker player, up-and-comer. You're going to be seeing a lot of him in years to come.
Buy Bill Perkins' book. It's the most.
Dylan is really staring at Brad here trying to get a live read. What I want to know is, do you think that live reads matter? And if you do, what specific things do you look for that help sway your decisions one way or the other? Pause the video and let me know down there in the comment section below.
Amazing book. It will teach you how to think correctly about your life.
200, 400 with a $400 big blind ante at the lodge here in Austin, Texas on a Saturday. We thank you for joining us as Dylan's in the blender.
Great shot of
I agree
Dylan.
with you completely. I love that book. I learned a lot. I love the concepts that he introduced. Amazing. So, everyone on the stream, go buy the book now.
Dylan obviously blocking the sets, the kings, the queens, perhaps worried about tens, the ace-jack that beat him, but that's really about it.
Oh, no, he hasn't been to lunch either.
Not even a single time.
The date, so like, he's a busy guy. He travels around a lot. And then he'll be like, hey, like, didn't go this week? And it's always like a week where it's like nothing's going on out there or whatever. So and then when we have stuff, I invite him to go and visit.
Dylan staring over at Brad. Brad
Makes
makes the
the
call.
call.
Yeah, makes the call. Brad, get paid $146,000, the biggest pot of his life.
Hold it against you, Brad.
Right here,
This is exactly what
Saturday
I told
afternoon from the lodge after getting crushed yesterday.
you. I think it's stupid.
Brad on the comeback trail, and that's got to feel good for the young fella.
After much deliberation, much staring at Brad, trying to make some sort of read, Dylan finds a call. And I certainly don't fault him for finding a call, especially given Brad may be making this play with a worse hand like King 10, but also with some bluffs like Jack 10 and Pocket Jacks. That said, if he's missing those bluffs, and if he's not going to be going for, maybe not thin value, but value with slightly weaker hands, I think this fold with King Queen could be acceptable. And I think Dylan was probably thinking the same thing. That said, Brad battles. And this time, all of his battling finally paid off, and he wins the biggest pot of his life. That's going to be it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I wish you the best of luck. Whenever you do call with a bluff catcher, I hope you win. And if you actually want to watch another video discussing how to master post-flop strategy, check out that video, wherever it is. It's somewhere around here. Check out that video, and I hope you enjoy it. Good luck. Have fun. Click the like and subscribe button before you leave. And I'll talk to you next time.